IVM.
Hey, ever wonder if we should ever do an episode like ASMR, like talk like that?
No, we should not.
Because there was this episode of Will and Grace that is hilarious, where Karen and Jack have an entire fight like this, whispering, and it's an ASMR podcast, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that there are times that I laugh out so loud that I actually have to oh my god, instantly turn my this. I'm so sorry to anyone who has to hear that.
It's because like my niece, when she was a kid and she used to sneeze and scare herself. And
I live in a world where I think everybody knows their laugh, but for me, I don't know my laugh.
Oh, I know my laugh and it's hideous.
I don't know my laugh. I really
I know
try.
It's in, people say, oh, your laugh is an open laugh. I'm like, that's short for really loud.
So I had a normal laugh, I believe, and now I've developed. Then I had a cackle, for the long. Do you know what a cackle is? My dad has it. It's like a. And now I've realized I've got the wheeze. Wow, for those who are listening, we usually record on a Friday evening, but it's Monday morning. It's 10 a.m. So fuck every single person.
And don't rule out any of this laughter not being nervous laughter.
Oh my god. I am so not I don't get this Monday morning hate.
I'm okay because I always Sundays for me are my chill days. Saturdays are my chill days, and Sundays I actually go out and socialize and do something.
That's actually such a good plan.
So you segue into the activity.
Yeah.
I don't want to shock.
In my case, I'm one of those. Friday night to Monday morning is standard. It just involves taking pisses, shits, showers, and cooking. That's it. And maybe, if a friend wants to socialize, but then pissing, showering, taking a shit and cooking at his place. You know what I mean? It's not like this. And, but Monday mornings are, for me, what I hate the most are that precise point on a Sunday evening where you start realizing that a week is about to. I'm fine with Mondays overall. In fact, over the years, I think I've got a lot used to it. But that's just how our lives are structured. So I feel we are designed to hate Mondays. Okay.
So let's get back to what we are talking about today. We decided let's talk about this really made up notion. I mean, it's a very widespread notion of happily ever after.
Happily ever after. Is there a happily ever
after?
Is there a happily
ever
after? Can there be a happily ever after?
And there are so many happily ever afters. No, I'm an eternal optimist. I feel like everyone.
How do we have a show together?
That's why we have a show together.
Oh my god, chalk and cheese.
So I feel everyone just needs to find their happily ever after and define it, because
not as another person, like a happily ever after.
Exactly. Everyone has their own version of it, and there's this comedian I've started really crushing on called Catherine Ryan. She's this really pretty American who's now settled in Britain, and her entire family structure, she's got a daughter, and her entire idea of a family structure that would last for a while was her and her daughter, and men would keep coming and going. But that was it. For her, the choice was, I'm a career woman, I have my daughter, that's my life. And I think that's a happily ever after, and that's beautiful.
Sure.
I feel we all can find one. What pisses me off is when you're told this is the picture.
I get it, but see, again, we're putting it under the gay lens or the LGBTQ lens, right? So many of us have a legit anxiety
of ticking time,
I'm alone, nothing's real, people are just not willing to commit. And here's the deal, right? I talk about this in therapy sometimes, and my shrink has this idea that you're being very stupid. He gives me there are happily ever afters, you're just not, and I'm very quick to be like, you know what, shut the fuck up, you have no idea, I know you're experienced and you're this, and so I talk to my shrink about this so many times, and trust me, my shrink is very What? Why? Because he once asked me, "Are you dating someone?" And I laughed on his face. Like, and here's the deal, right? Very credibly, he's touted as the LGBTQ therapist to go to in India, if not in Bombay. You know what I mean? So I laughed at him, and his face was very like, "Why are you laughing about this? Like, it does happen, you know that." And I was like, "Listen. We live in a community where stealthing is a thing. We live in a community where..." I'll tell you this. Day before yesterday, my friend, she called me up and she's like, "Hey, I have a gay friend who's hooking up with this boy who's very closeted. They had 4-5 hookups, and then my friend found out that this guy had nicked some family heirloom from his house, like jewelry. And now the thing is, that guy has gone and sold it off." So again, sorry, I'm going on this whole cynic this, but sometimes what happens is there are so many stories you hear and so many experiences that you have, right from basic catfishing
but
to like
that's not just a gay thing. That's the thing. Now, dangerous dating
absolutely,
is such a
absolutely.
universal...
I get it. But you get it, right? When it comes from a space of persecution, when it comes from a space of being closeted, when it comes from a space of, and I'm not saying, out, people who are out, we have been through that whole drill, you know, where we've had to be like very cautious about how we, like, what we put out there and all of that. So I feel like that stays in some way throughout your life.
No doubt.
You know, I recently, very recently, because I've not been dating for so long, I was walking on the road, and after ages I felt like holding a hand's boy and walking, but there was a fraction of a... Wait, we are in public. You know what I mean? Again, then I went ahead and
I know
held
what
his
you
hand.
mean. I know what you mean. Like, I was on a flight, and while growing up, there was a lot of... because I have very feminine features, and like
you do. I'm so sorry.
I mean, under all the beard,
oh my God.
I'm a pretty woman.
Rajma chawal.
Yeah. So. And I would get called out for that a lot. And just this other day, I was on a flight, and so I was just like, relaxing. So my seat was kind of, reclined. And the person behind me, I remember him just saying, ma'am, for a good, 7 minutes.
Obviously, he'd not seen your face.
So I didn't realize I thought he's asking for the air hostess. And then he he sort of leaned forward, and then he was so surprised, and then he apologized. My first instinct was anger and the fact that I was triggered.
Yeah.
And then I just... It takes, and I'm totally, very touchwood, very comfortable with my femininity and whatnot, and I'm very, I understand that I kind of confuse people with the beard as well as the pinks that I wear. So I really questioned myself after that. Why am I getting triggered by this? And this was not his fault. He obviously saw my hair and he must have thought, oh, this is some woman. And we kind of internalize all of that, and that sort of comes out in dating as well. You hope the date will never say things that you're so scared of.
Yeah, absolutely. But coming back, I just feel like I know I'm coming from a place of absolute cynicism. And that's what I feel like I have to challenge now. Hey, I need to look beyond the cynicism to understand that one experience doesn't define my future experiences. Because that happens, right? So many times. Yeah. And if I'm not guilty of it, a boy I'm into will be guilty of it. You know what I mean? So many times. I'll give you an example. One of the stupidest fucking things I've heard, right? I'm chatting for ages, I'd say a year. I've been chatting with this boy on Instagram, and he... for some odd reason, over a year, we never asked where we stay. And then he suddenly asked me, hey, where do you stay? Because we are now getting close to the point of maybe let's meet up, after a year of chatting. And I said, I stay in Khar. And he said, oh shit, I can't come to Khar. And I said, what? Why? He's like, I have bad memories of Khar. And I was like, what is that? Obviously, I knew what he meant. He's like, no, my ex-boyfriend is from Khar, and that basically the place is tainted in his head.
I mean, it's a big area, bro.
But now, suddenly when I am listening to that, I'm like, this person immediately is already applying his past experience to something in such a trivial way. To
so if it's not you, it's someone else.
Yeah, but why would you do that? It must be so tiring and exhausting. Because see, even though I'm cynical and I'm pessimistic, By the way, I very recently read something so interesting. I don't know if it was an excerpt from a TED Talk or something, but this lady talks about how pessimism is one of the most misunderstood human traits that we have. And of course, it boils down to the basic that you lower your own expectations and so that you don't get disappointed as much. So a lot of times pessimism is a self-preservation technique, which
you call it realism.
Can be,
you call it a reality check. I mean, there is a pessimism which is just dark, and then there is the reality check.
Absolutely. I'm not saying pessimism is healthy. Of course, even it's one of those, if you do it too much, you will face the this of it. Sometimes it's just like what happens even with realism. After a while, you start realizing, is my realism flawed if everything doesn't work out, if I find a flaw?
But I feel it's not a this monolith that's just carved and that stays. I think it's fluid and it changes over time. And if we align ourselves to that's far healthier, I feel.
Sure.
Have you ever felt like there is a destination you're working towards when it comes to the happily ever after? And let's talk about happily ever after when it comes to a holistic view.
I don't know why every time I keep thinking of because again, fundamentally, I have come to terms with the fact that another person will never complete me. Like my entire journey and process and all. After a while, we all, in some degree or measure, work towards being... Okay, first of all, Emma Watson, I saw an interview of her once and she used the term self-partnered.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a term that really stuck with me. Because I'll tell you what happened. I have been in a relationship, again, the last time was 4 years ago. After having dated straight from 14 to 30, I was just constantly either dating or like had someone, you know what I mean? I had another person there. They were constantly, just the person would change, but I constantly had people in my life for a good 15 years. And for the first time after breaking up, I thought, okay, this time just take it easy, and suddenly self-love happened. You know what I mean? Where I started realizing, whoa, I actually like being alone. Whoa, I like doing my own fucking thing. I like my side of the bed. I like this. And you know, to a point where I was so happy and proud of like what this is self-love. Like now I'm finally cooking for myself. I'm everything. It made me feel like. But then even that became a problem eventually, where I started realizing, oh shit, I like this too much now. Now, if anyone, I'll give you an example. I hooked up with, not hooked up, it wasn't intended to be a hookup. Another person I've been chatting to since Snapchat was new, okay? And he recently was for the first time in Bombay. He's here for a 2-3 week project. And he's like, listen, should we finally meet? And we've spoken on and off for years. So I was like, yeah, sure. And I spent one night, like literally he showed up in the evening and he left the next afternoon. And in that much I was trying to just read, like, because I do feel fundamentally ready for a relationship, right? But there were so many things that happened were like, for example, I had a project and I had to deliver something, and I told him even before he was coming, listen, this is going on in my life, so yeah, let's hang out. I want to sleep a little early. Next day I gotta do this, so you're fine, right? Oh, please don't worry about it. It's perfectly fine. I was like, great, you know, you'll do your own thing. Yeah, sure, don't worry. But now I'm working. Suddenly it's like, what do you think of this? What do you think? You know, and I'm typing something and I'm thinking, and you know, I started getting a little angsty that, listen, I gotta do this. You know what I mean? And now this person is adorable, sweet. I've spoken to him again. But just one night was a good litmus test for me to know how closed I have become. I'm making this more about me. Like how I have become so...
I completely understand that, because I don't know what it's like. So I'm on a journey with like, and I'm so grateful to my therapist for helping me open up. I'm on a journey of opening up at this point, because I've only lived by myself and for myself in all my relationships. I'll put a pin on that. The strangest thing happened the last week. 2 of my exes reached out to me, and these were exes with which we had like breakups where we weren't talking to each other anymore. And 2 of them reached out, and it was like, sure, one of them was a little more immature, but then there was one which and with him we had this beautiful almost we'll see this till the end sort of a space, and we just got up and it was, and we spoke about where both of us were wrong, and it was so refreshing, and it was so nice to see that there are things that I am working on currently, which were the problems, and we both acknowledged it, and it was beautiful because he's on a journey of self-healing from stuff that he's going through, and that made me realize that I'm so glad today I'm on a journey of opening up, because that's what I got to all about. I got to just myself that.
Because to some extent even I do. Even one of my ex-boyfriends recently got married. He moved to London, and throughout I would see his Instagram, he's met someone new, and again not a tinge of jealousy, because I always wanted the best things for him, whether I was in the relationship, even after this, and chatting with him and then seeing his entire wedding, I was genuinely happy. Like, I was so happy to see his wedding. We spoke, like, I was like, I'm so happy for you, Ken. This has happened, this, that. So we have that kind of thing. But also, I feel like some of the experiences that burn you, I'll give you like just an idea of, because I don't want to generalize. I do not want to generalize. But a lot of times we see there are a permutation combination of 4 or 5 things that can break a relationship. Cheating, or whether it's like abusive, toxic, or you have your main
non-negotiable,
and everything falls under those umbrella, this. In my previous relationship, not only did I find out my boyfriend was cheating on me, I found out that he had a sugar daddy somewhere who was funding his lifestyle. And that's something we had to, like, when I found out, like, unpack, and then suddenly this is the love, whatever, I'm not going to get into that. But now, this is the worst part, right? 2 weeks ago, I got the news that this sugar daddy is dead from someone else. And I thought, I don't know if this is a mature thing, but I messaged my ex-boyfriend that, hey, did you hear about this? And he's like, what are you talking about? I have not. So suddenly, now as a situation, I am telling my ex-boyfriend about the demise of this sugar daddy who kind of was one of the reasons we broke up. That is such a intricately, and this is just one of the reasons we broke up, this sugar daddy angle. You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like the burn we go through as it's never, okay, please, just while we are on it, I'll give you another example in another relationship. Not only did I find out my boyfriend had cheated on me, but I also happened to find out that during that cheating session, he specifically requested that person does not wear a condom. You know what I mean? Now, this is too, like, fucking zoomed into the... I remember once Esther Perel, a very popular relationship advice counselor, whatever, she has a fantastic TED Talk on cheating. She talks about cheating. Just look it up, Esther Perel cheating. And she talks about cheating in the digital age is death by 1,000 cuts. You know what I mean? Because before, if you found out that your lover is cheating, it was the cliched lipstick on his collar, or like you smell like another man. But nowadays, if you stumble upon a Snapchat or his inbox, you suddenly see who this person is with other people, right? So I feel the mixing, the kind of issues that we go through as a community, whether it's like stealing, blackmail, these are all real things, stealthing, all of these combined with how digital dating is lately, and how callous and shallow and dangerous and all these things it has become. I feel like any anxiety is justified, or any cynicism is justified, or any pessimism is justified, because we are human at the end of it. And just 1 second, can you hear my stomach rumbling? I am fucking hungry and I can hear it constantly. Okay, I can actually hear like Salman Khan in Andaz Apna Apna. Put this in the episode. But like, Salman Khan, he has that laxative, and then there's a hookah pipe. Like, I can feel it in my stomach. I'm so sorry, guys. Monday morning, I'm very hungry. But sorry.
No, I know what you're talking about. It's just, I also am of the opinion, though, of the fact that we know there is this landscape that we have to traverse. We know that this is an uphill climb. In the midst of that, there is it's so weird because I keep saying there is no destination, but if we find our version of the journey, that if we start almost crafting that version of the journey, that's the small beginning of that. And the important thing is, of course, we are bombarded by these, saccharine sweet images of, people in the West sort of marrying and proposing to each other and all of that. And then we kind of, because that creates so much anxiety, because you realize that, no, you can't do that over here. No matter what you have, you will never be able to have that level of commitment because the law doesn't allow that, and blah, blah, blah. In the midst of all of that, I think it's important to figure what's possible for us. And the great thing is we live in a country, at least for the next couple of months, where homosexuality is legal. Like, it's a very stupid thing to say homosexuality is legal, but well, it's a sex act that's legal.
And
but
gay marriage is not, if Ayushman Khurrana is listening.
So in the middle of that, I also find a lot of joy when I see people who found their version.
Absolutely. And that's just such jealousy, right? I don't know. I feel I have friends who've like 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm not being just to this conversation because I'm again making it about relationships and happily ever after.
No, so I'll tell you why I don't think there's jealousy from my end. I'll tell you why. Because I know that I couldn't have done it.
Absolutely. I also want to...
And that's what.
Yeah, and I want to... Okay, I don't mean jealousy. There's some sort of lament, I feel. Even whether someone tells me they got into a relationship, there's immediately a tint or a small little prick of like, okay, someone is out there working towards...
Why not me?
Finding something real. And then I go into the spin of, wait, that is not real. As long as you're okay with yourself. And that's the thing, right? So many times you hear the whole, until you love yourself, you can't love anybody else. But now, if you ask me, I love myself so much. But now I'm not also, I find it tough to love someone else.
No, but loving yourself is also about letting others in. That's the second part of loving yourself. I've loved myself for a while, a little too much, but that's the part I'm working towards. Letting just shattering this ivory tower that I've been living in, and letting other people in, letting other people see a side of me that I was so scared to show. Just like I've been casually sort of dating someone who been on dates with someone of late, with whom the first few dates were, I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was just waiting for him to say something that would make it not work it.
Another one bites the dust.
And now we've been on some 7-8 dates. And
that's actually a very valid thought. I never thought of it.
And again, here's something that I never used to do, which is talk on the phone, chat on the phone. And I look forward to it now. And for the longest time, I would keep waiting for something wrong to happen, because I was like, okay, so this hasn't happened for so long. So why? And I think more often than not, we are self-saboteurs.
Absolutely.
And that's so fucked up. That's so fucked up.
Because I find it fucked up because here we are talking about how we love ourselves, how we are self-partnered and all of that. But we are also capable of being self-saboteurs. You know what I mean? For example, again, this boy who stayed over, while I was like, hey, I'm working, just give me an hour or two. Sure, don't worry about it. But then everyone, hey, where's this, where's that? Hey, can you this? Hey, can we get breakfast? Whatever, that kind of shit. And then he asked me, I want to fill a bottle of water. How does the AquaGuard work? And in my head, immediately I felt like this is not going to work. Because it takes, if you're a fully functional human being, it will take you 30 seconds to figure out how this machine works. You know what I mean? Why are you disturbing me? So I know now that's the level of work I have to do on myself about putting your walls down, putting your guards down, putting your guard down. I get it. But I feel like, again, for whoever, anyone's listening, it is easy being, becoming that person who like ironclad shuts down and becomes like, no, never again. I'm not going to get hurt ever again. I also feel like, I wonder, I don't feel it, but I wonder if it comes because our lives are such a huge struggle for self-awareness, self-love, self-acceptance, all of that. And that I really do believe that we find it sooner than most people, I feel like because we spend so much time to reach a point where we can be ourselves, and then when we are ourselves and things don't work out, and then when things don't work out, you feel like, hey, now my heart is on my sleeve, I am putting everything me out there, and why am I getting burned? So I feel it's very easy, at least I guess that applies to me. I feel like, because if I had to see who I've been my entire life, I feel like I've been one person. I might be bipolar, but I've been one person my entire life, and that is just honest and just, hey, this is me. This is me. And then when you get hurt and when you get this, you are like, whoa.
Because I'm explaining this. Sure. I don't know why, because the truth.
Please, you said a lot of things that made me, whoa, yeah, I do.
But again, so I'm at a place where I know I'm in a much better place after therapy, and I started opening up after that, and I still know there have been dates that have not worked out. For me, the answer, I did question myself. So I'm being authentic. I'm not such a bad person. I'm interesting. And I say this with no conceit, but why does this not work out? Why did this not work out? The answer is because it wasn't as per just one person's standards, and everyone has their idea of this. And if we start questioning ourselves and based on just a single person, and then we are kind of then it's a very shaky ground that we built our foundation on. So
I get what you're saying. Because see, so many times I feel, and I like
how many times have we said no to a date for the flimsiest of reasons? Like, I've said no to a date.
At least 10 times this week.
Yeah, like I've said, I said no to a date because this person only wore Crocs.
Okay.
Like, and this is not an economics thing. It was an
fashion.
No, it wasn't. No, it was not a fashion faux pas thing. This person believed in Crocs, and I was like, I'm sorry, I cannot. And this wasn't the monsoon. So I've just
monsoon. I really need to know if it was the monsoon chalta.
Because
then
I
some
get
concession.
it. Yeah, some concession. Because it's. Sure.
Yeah.
So we reject people. And again, it's so important to look inward and say, we rejected people for the flimsiest of reasons. I'm sure someone made that mistake with me.
Yeah. So I'm coming to realize that, when we did the breakup episode, I remember saying that one of the reasons I do not feel pain after breakups or I'm quick to move on is because I fully accept or realize where I was wrong. And basically, I own up, where I might have been flawed,
I'm so sorry. I'm being so clumsy today.
It's
I'm
okay.
banging against the mic. Okay, continue.
Classic Sunetro.
This is not classic. I'm not a klutz.
Do you want my coaster? Oh, there's another coaster.
I got another one. Yes, let's continue.
No, so many times I feel like I am blame, right? I feel like one of the reasons I am good at getting over things is because I feel that I did my best that I could in that relationship, and that helps me move on.
Yeah.
And when you say this, now it comes to realize that I don't do that with people who hurt me in the process of me hoping that maybe this can be a relationship. That I'm quick to just retract and be turtle head in. What is wrong with you,
sorry,
Sunetro?
I broke another pen.
Oh my God.
So sorry.
What is wrong?
I'll just...
Should we entirely change the name of this episode? Should we do something? Sunetro's Dainty Ditzy Monday Mornings.
Okay. I'm not touching anything and I'm just going to talk.
Yeah. Do you want to take a break?
No, I'm good. Let's continue.
No, we should take a quick break. Yeah, break a couple. Don't break the mics. They're very expensive.
All right, let's take it. quick break.
We'll take a quick break while Sunetro entirely destroys and burns the studio down to the ground.
Hoping not.
Hey everybody, an awesome week on IVM Podcast is coming up for you. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're everywhere. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as IVM Podcast. We're also on LinkedIn, and I'm going to be putting a lot more stuff on that platform too. We'd also like to thank our sponsors this week, HDFC Life and Storytel, for their continued support. And remember, if you think you or your brand can benefit by working with us or, sponsoring shows for us, we'd really appreciate that. So just a last call to everybody. Please do fill out our listener survey if you want your voice to count on the future of IVM. It would be great to get your input right now. We're going to keep the listener survey up till the 7th of February 2020. Please do fill it in. We'd really, really do appreciate your help. It's a crossover episode of Cyrus Says this week as host of Storytellers and Storysellers Vineet Kanobar joins Cyrus. Vineet talks about his growing up years, being a part of the early TVF team, and what the job of content head entails. On Simplified this week, the ultra-crepidarians talk about the biggest consumer electronics show, CES. On the Traveling Professor's Diary, Siddharth talks about the ins and outs of having kids who are influencers. On Ganatantra, Alok and Sari talk about why it's important to learn about state politics. On 9XM Soundcast, Eva is joined by singer Dhwani Bhanushali. She shares her experience on working with Guru Randhwa and Tanishq Bagchi. On IVM Likes, Abbas, Ritika, Radhika and Antariksh talk about their favorite Hindi comedy films from their childhood and now. On Paperback, Rachita and Satyajit talk to educator Fatima Agarkar about Indian education and strategies that can help improve it. On Football Shitball, Sivram, Karthik and Gaurav celebrate their Silver Jubilee episode. That's right, 25 episodes down and going strong. This week they talk about Cristiano Ronaldo having scored more goals in 2020 than all of Barcelona, and about Ashley Young debuting in Serie A. And with that, let's get you on with your show.
And we are back and the studio's intact. I haven't burnt it down.
Oh my God. Guys, I survived. I survived, Sunetro.
I'm not usually this much of a klutz. I'm really not.
Klutz.
I'm very proper and all of that. But
I've been told multiple times that I'm the classic bull in China shop. And it's not like I'm like mischievously, I'll pick up something and break it. Butterfingers, I'm not Butterfingers. It's just if you know me, which you do, like my demeanor or my way of moving about is like
very.
I have no legs. I just bang into things. I hit things and oh my God. Can I tell you the randomest thing? I once went to what's that circus? The design company?
India Circus.
No, not India Circus. Shit, I'm going to quickly think of this.
Chumbak?
No, they're one of those cool brands that do a lot of design and they got their own stores now and all of that. Shit. I really want to say the story and I'm forgetting the name of the brand. Okay, basically I went into their store and I wanted to try a t-shirt. Oh, sorry, Play Clan.
Okay.
Play Clan. You know when Play Clan was new and they got their own stores. So I wanted to try on a t-shirt and when I went into the dressing room, I opened the door to the dressing room and I banged it a little too hard. Yeah. So on the wall adjacent, they also had frames with designs in it and one of those frames fell and broke, right? I obviously was like, I'll not say sorry because I'll tell you what the thing, that door stopper thing, it was broken. So I might have, bullishly pulled it too hard, but it was their fault also. So now I did want to buy that t-shirt. So when we are at checkout, that lady goes like, so the total is 6,000 something. And I was like, wait, the t-shirt is... No, so you have to pay for the frame. And I was like, wait, I did not break it. And then she's like, no, but it broke because of you. And you know what happened next? I got into this whole discourse about what... I said, okay, why is this 3,800 rupees?
Oh my God, are you
And then
serious?
I got into this whole discourse about what is art and how do you...
So what did they just say about
It went on and on till they let me go. Yeah, I actually did not pay for that fucking frame. Fuck that.
Fair.
But like, it was a good, like, healthy discussion about what is art and why does it cost 3,800 rupees.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about
Happily ever afters and if they exist.
There's one thing that we often kind of ignore, and that is the socio-economics of the happily ever after. Very often, we kind of, the person might be amazing, the person might be right, the situations might be
everything's
amazing.
Good.
But our
the
lifestyles
conditions are not perfect.
Yeah, the lifestyles aren't conducive.
Yeah.
And has that ever happened to you?
What do you mean by lifestyle, Sahab?
So it's not just. I'm
Is
not
this
just
the classic,
talking about,
you are an outdoorsy person, but I'm a homebird?
No.
Okay.
It's about what's let's go out, and our versions of let's go out are so drastically different in terms of where I would drink and where this person would drink.
Sure.
And it's not
I
necessarily...
do think about this. You're right. A lot of times I've found myself thinking that now if I had to get into a relationship after so long, I have learned how to save money.
Yeah.
Like literally for me, every 2 rupee is 2 rupees. You know what I mean? And really, when you live in a city like Bombay, you get dented and whittled into this place where you are like, oh my God, everything counts. Every light off, geyser off. Like basically everything your parents told you as a kid, and you thought my parents are so stupid, but you get it. And I remember once there was this very cute boy I was chatting with, and this is not very long ago, where I would see his Instagram stories, and he's one of those, Four Seasons, Air Lounge, and now clubbing here and partying there, and a dinner at Yaucha, and I'm like, okay, I get it once off, but this is his lifestyle. And it really made me question if I would date this person, because I would constantly have to be like, no, I do not want to pay for like a fucking 3,000 rupee sushi. You know what I mean? Like right now I'm at a point where bangda kharid ke machhi market se malwani fry karke main kha lega. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
So I get it when you say socio-economic, in what sense, but...
Because it's not just about how much someone earns. And
it's not even about money.
It's about the socio-economics, because it's about where someone comes from. And that to me is very important. For me... I come from a desperately middle class upbringing, and I say desperately
Similar.
with like emphasis. And it's always worked out for me when my partners have seen similar, if not same, experiences and struggles, and that. Because there is respect in the journeys that we've had, and there's respect in how we our value for money. But at the same time, there's also respect, when it comes to the fact that I'm at a place, touchwood now, where I'm okay spending on myself and allowing myself a little bit of material joy to feel good. And there is no guilt involved now, because I used to feel guilt for the longest time spending the smallest amount of money, for myself. So I can it only works out when the other person kind of understands that and can grapple that.
Okay.
And there have been situations where the person just hasn't. And that's just... it's been a beep right from the beginning. So,
I know what you mean. Because again, I feel like, I don't know if I ask all these questions even beforehand, and I'm not even saying the basics, right? Like today, again, I think we've spoken about this before, but dating someone involves a criteria or at least a master sheet of checklists that a person has to hit. If before it used to be like, oh my God, this person laughs at my jokes, I love him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they like my music, they like my food, okay, that's enough. But nowadays it's like, are they the kind of attractive I want them to be, because this is one person I will sleep with a lot for the rest of that one thing. Are they this? Are they politically, like, not politically, okay, that's this one, but are they like just nice people? Are they fundamentally good people? Are they this? Are they supportive? Are they understanding? Are they open relationships? What do they feel about? Are they this? Are they that? There are so many checklists to hit now, so that even if dreaming about happily ever after, if that's the topic, I'm like, it's like an entrance exam almost, you know what I mean? Like, does this person hit all those points that you look for maybe?
But, I find comfort in the fact that I completely agree that there are so many pit stops to cover. But I find comfort in the fact that we are all evolving as people, and we are not the same person. There are so many things I used to be be a staunch believer
Malleable.
in. Like, for example... I will never date a vegetarian, because I love non-vegetarian. And now today for me, it really doesn't matter. Who knows? Tomorrow I'll turn vegetarian or plant-based and whatnot. And there are things that you now just seem so flimsy to kind of, whittle and wither away a relationship on those criteria.
Which is the old school, right? I don't know if this was Robin Williams is Patch Adams?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm talking about Robbie Williams.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I saw I saw did he come out?
No,
I forgot.
But he's so comfortable.
But
he's not.
Okay, I don't know.
I'm sure he's.
I don't know why I suddenly totally blanked out because.
But I'm sure he's kind of,
It's been ages since anyone spoke about Robbie Williams.
Robbie Williams,
at least here. But I remember watching an interview of his years ago, and he said something like, "You basically, it's like when you get into a relationship, it's like you. How do I say this? You make it better. You take what you have, okay, and then how you gift wrap that is what defines a good relationship. So I get it where I'm wrong to even say that there's a certain number of checklists, even though it's something I involuntarily end up doing. Chal now, even preferences, we spoke about preferences.
Yeah.
But yesterday, I went out with a couple of friends, and one of them asked me, hey, I really want to set you up with my friend, but he wanted to know if you're a top or a bottom, And my first thought was that if this person is willing to, let's say, because he's a bottom and he's basically looking for a pure top, first of all, he sent someone else to ask me that. That's such you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But secondly, I was like, okay, if this person is someone who will not see something real just based on a sexual preference, then I automatically assume that he's not willing to put in the work that goes into a relationship.
Yeah.
Having said that, it's totally something even I would do. You know what I mean? It's something even I'm guilty of. And not that because I'm worse, so chalo, to be worse, maybe worse, okay. But it is something that would be a criteria for me. And then I feel like whether this is a modern conditioning or this is what dating apps, this is the, what do we say, the flip side of dating apps, which is they whittle your brain into these little, or your neural pathways to think this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, oh, this is not, but yeah, okay, So,
yeah. No, I agree, and I also feel like in the middle of so much, I don't know, trying to figure what works, what doesn't. Also, we don't realize this happily ever after is not a destination.
Sure.
It's an everyday exercise. It's an ongoing
it's
journey.
Yeah.
It really is. You don't just start being happy.
That's the thing, right? What is it we
day.
can say that is fresh that has not already been said by some Kishore Kumar in the 60s or 70s?
No, but
you know what I mean?
Beautiful moment in this Stephen Daldry film called The Hours.
Okay.
There's this moment where Meryl Streep's talking to her daughter, Claire Danes, and she's talking about how there was this one day that she had with her ex Richard and at this lake and whatnot. And that's a day, it was an epiphany for her, and she realized that happiness, we're constantly in the pursuit of happiness. But what we don't realize it's that moment. It's not the beginning.
Sure.
It is just a moment.
Yeah.
And we just have to find
the
happy moments instead of the beginning of happiness, and just, rest easy thinking, now it shall stay.
Sure.
Because it's always going to be work.
It's
always going to be require two people to kind of constantly.
No, and it is an exercise, and I'm going to totally run on a different tangent here, but I had a friend who basically, when Instagram stories and Snapchat was a thing, I would be amazed by how he would make the most randomest objects look pretty. Whether it's a mic, whether it's a fly, whether it's a tree, whether it's something horrific also, like a rat dead and its guts played out. Like, I would see his stories and I would be like, and it's something I really learned from him to do, which is I started looking at things. You know what I mean? I really stopped. I started looking, and as cliche as it sounds, I started finding the beauty in things. And just that one little exercise, right? It taught me some amount of control over my own, because we live, right? We live this life, and let's say it's a cab ride. Yeah, we're going to take a cab ride after this to our offices.
Yeah.
And it'll be, you don't really think about, oh, I'm going to call for a cab. You sit and then you study everything around you. And then by the time you reach your destination, you know what I mean? But now I actually look around. I see, okay, this sounds so stupid, but whether it's a lady in another rickshaw, whether it's like some construction site, whatever it is, I try to look. And I wish I could apply that and do that in people too, where I find the beauty in other people, because it's very easy for me to not do that with people, because the moment, like you said,
one small
thing jars or is out of place or is something that I don't want,
I
or
know
is
what you mean.
it's quickly, nope. You know what I mean? And I feel like I need to start doing that with people too. Like,
I'm on that journey now because I've rejected people because they pronounced a certain word wrong. Like, it's just so toxic. When you realize that the smallest thing will irk you, but you feel your worth so much more.
And this is the classic,
that's so...
And that's the thing, right? And then the next thing you're in therapy and you're talking about how you don't realize that we are the victims of our own undoing. You know what I mean? Like, so many times, that's the thing. I have this habit. I'm an extremely extrovertish, and I identify as ambivert, but like, you know what I mean? I'm out there, I'm suddenly all my friends, and then boom, 3 months, 4 months, I'll suddenly cut off and I'll be like this total recluse, like just work and back, and no Saturday, Sunday plans. I just want to be myself with my cat, that kind of thing. And then after 3-4 months, I'll be like, oh my God, I'm alone. I don't have any, I'll put myself in this fucking box, and then I'll be like, oh my God, I'm stuck in this box. You know what I mean? That's something, again, I guess with age, you start realizing when you do it again and again. But yeah, I feel like that this is something you've hit the nail on the head with, where I do that with people also. And then eventually I start, again, the cynicism flares up and I start feeling like it's people. And, I immediately don't realize how I am causing this to myself. You know what I mean?
Speaking of boxes, what do you feel about marriage as an institution? Because again, it's the most common, a common version of a happily ever after. Considered.
I'm very open to it. Let's say, I'm very open to it. If it's something anything that will cause whoever I'm getting married to, if it causes them happiness, I will do it. And that, I know how that sounds. That means like I will only do it because someone else wants it. Even I do believe it, right? I do want something real and substantial and something, that materializes out of, if that's the right word, out of all this work or a celebration of whatever we are working towards. I get all of that, and in that sense, I'm open to marriage. But unfortunately, my parents were Oshoites in the early 90s, and we had like hundreds of Osho books in my house, and I read too much about marriages and his ideas and notions of marriage for me to not believe in it as an institution where, suddenly you both are in this ring and you're bound to me and now you can't this. I don't want that kind of a marriage. But if it's something that is a reflection or a celebration of something I have made for myself using another person, and they have made using me with me in their life, then I'm more than happy to like.
Yeah, I know.
Just can't be on a beach though. I can't sand stays in your shoes for a year.
Oh my God. No, I don't believe, like, and this is purely a Sunetro thing, like, and it's a Sunetro on the third of February, like we are recording on the 3rd of February, but Sunetro in 2020 February thing, where I'm saying I don't think marriage is for me. But I do feel like everyone's entitled to it. And secondly, I do feel like what I don't like about marriage is it's an institution. Again, I'm sure a lot of people have heard this. It's an institution that was crafted for, straight people. And I feel like we need our own version of the marriage, like a civil union and stuff like that. And I'm more conducive to that. But having said that, I'm not militant about these thoughts. I'm very big shit. Like, what's the big deal? What's the worst that can happen? Is that changing me really? So I think I keep questioning my views on this constantly. Because there was a point of time when I didn't even believe in like civil unions for myself. Like for me, it was like stay detached enough, stay attached enough. And now I'm just like, what's a big deal? Like ठीक है ना, it's pragmatic, like to have something on paper for like property. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know the legal side of it because a lot of times I know the conversation. I don't delve that. I know there's so much struggle for gay marriage and equality around the world, right?
Yeah.
And so my knowledge of the entire, not a debate, but of the entire topic is limited to like, people being okay to be, but I have no idea about my own finances. So I know there is that whole angle also why marriage is important, like legalizing it, because I guess like tomorrow if I die, I want my lover. If I made tons of money, I want him to like live an amazing life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know that side of it. So I don't think about it, but
no, I only think about the pragmatic side of it.
Sure, like, but if the question is right now about
are you looking,
am I open to getting married? It's just I feel like I'm in the other corner right now where I have to like first dismantle and undo all of this giant fortress, Shivaji style fortress that I've built around me, not any regular fortress, but like, you know, for me to marriage seems like the other end of the spectrum. You know, can I tell you something? A lot of times, a lot of my friends who have this anxiety, which is a very common anxiety in the community, which is I will die alone, right? I've asked them, I started going the next step and I was like, why is it such a fear for you? And, you know, and surprisingly, all of them said that, what if I fell down someday and I broke something and there was no one to help me up, you know, like literally physically I fell down and this. So I asked them, okay, why is that one thing? And I saw like 5-6 people have told me this exact example where they don't want to fall down and find out. So I said, has that ever happened to anyone in your life? And more often than not, there is an uncle, there is an aunt, there is someone who that happened to. And suddenly in their head, it's like, oh my God, I am also going to be that person where I need. So where am I going with this? When I started asking this a lot of times I started fundamentally questioning if this, even I'm terrified, right? Tomorrow if I crack my hip and like I don't have anyone 2 days, I'm just fallen in my house, I get it. But I have to work towards like, hey, that's not the reason for me to spend my life with another person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, shit happens.
There are, more often than not, those uncles and aunts might be widowers.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So does that mean that partnership, any kind of partnership or marriage will make sure that you do not have that? You do not go through an experience like that. You can't guarantee any of that shit.
You can't. And again, then it boils down to me, what have I learned in CBT, which is in your control, out of your control. Today, I can be well partnered. I'm 60. I've been in a relationship for like, 60 is just 25 years away from me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's say I'm 80. And I have been in the most nicest loving relationship for the next 50 years. And maybe the person is at work and I fell down the steps and I cracked my hip and I couldn't, you know what I mean?
Or the person dies.
Yeah, whatever. I'm saying like these are, but it's just anxieties are always surface level. Because we are so terrified of them, we never try to dive deep and see why you think about
decode it.
A certain thing the way you do, right? Like this, like, oh my, because it was very funny to me that all of them have this same similar like, oh, I will fall down and I will be alone and you know no one will be there. And I'm like, wow, we actually somewhere in our heads think that one of the reasons we need to be in a relationship is because someday in the future you might fall, not realizing that you could be in the wrong plane or the wrong bus might hit you, you know what I mean, or whatever, you know, a tsunami, I don't know, but a million things can happen to you. But somehow, how is this one, I will be alone at home and no one will be there. Like that alone, I just like felt like it was Expelliarmus, you know? I'm not going to do the Dementor shoe. Like, you know, where's that cheek? Dementor shoe.
Expelliarmus is the one where
you disarm.
You disarm.
Oh my God. No, what's the Dementor one?
It's
Hat Benchot.
That would work really well in India. Fuck, how am I Expecto Patronum?
That's to get a Patronus, right? Oh,
Yeah,
but Dementors only go away by...
with the Patronus.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny.
I'm a Potter maniac, by the way. So,
yeah, it's so funny. Just while I was saying all of this cracking hip and all, I was thinking about my community, which is the Parsi community, because I don't know if we have some sort of proclivity to end up alone, right? Because either we live up to be like 90 or 100. So yeah, either your partner died at some point or you never got married. Yeah, because it's a thing that dogs my community. And then we spoke about Harry Potter, which I find like one of the most latent Parsi books ever. You know? Yeah, I find Harry Potter very Parsi. This whole concept of like, you can't marry within the community, mudbloods and pure bloods. And you know, I really think about Parsis a lot. Like when I read about Voldemort and his philosophies, I'm like, there's some Parsi Dasturji somewhere who's joking off to Voldemort. You know what I mean?
Oh, good Lord.
But yeah, happily ever after.
Yeah.
I know we've not arrived at any concrete, but we just sometimes we just talk about it. Yeah,
it's never a conclusion.
It's not.
It's never an ever after. It's a happily now.
Yeah.
And let's
the process.
keep going.
Yeah.
Let's just like change the phrase to happily now and let's keep going.
Yeah.
Why happily ever after? Because that
should be the name
there's
of
so much pressure, right?
Yeah,
ever after. Fucking fairy tales. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, in fact, I'm thinking of the genesis or the seed. Where does this come from? The
fairy tales.
Because
because literally every prince or princess, like they found themselves at the age of like 21, and then we are supposed to believe now everything was set after that.
No, it's not even just fairy tales. Again, mine are steeped out of my experience, because I used to be that person. I give great advice. I'm going to be cocky and I'm going to say I give fantastic advice to everybody except myself. And I've realized over the years now I don't have the patience to give advice, because I can just shut the person down in one sentence. You know what I mean? For example, one of my friends, she messaged me the other day saying she's thinking of getting divorced. Oh shit, I know she listens to this podcast.
It's okay, no one knows it.
Yeah. But basically, she like how her husband suffered a mild stroke a couple of years ago, and ever since then, his mood issues. There has been mild slapping, shoving, kind of violence has started. A lot of blaming, and she's been thinking of leaving him. Right now, I can go into the whole advice like you need to, but really, I had no patience, and I just my WhatsApp replies to her were, leave him, don't. You know, like it was like, stop it, get out of it. You know, like that. I don't have the patience anymore. So what I'm getting at is a lot of times when my gay friends do this whole, I will end up alone, is there, you know what I mean? I just have a straight up, you don't need someone to complete you. I repeatedly, and that's the thing. Anything that I say ever, I always feel like I also feel the opposite. So it's such a tough place to be, right? Because I also sometimes think like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a solo Han Solo throughout my life, maybe.
I don't give a fuck about the future. Like,
but this is the classic. You know, I feel like what your parents do to you is, if you don't get your college education, then your life will be shit, right? So what happens with that kind of conditioning is you start thinking, am I making a mistake by doing this? So today I can very clearly say that, wow, I'm very ready to go out alone. I don't need another person. Self-love, self-this, self-partnered, all of that, right? I feel it. I genuinely feel it. But when I'm not feeling it, there is a tinge of like, oh my God, will I regret this suddenly when I'm 50 or 60? But again, why am I trying to answer a question 20 years, 15 years, like 10 years
look at yourself
in
now,
the future?
I mean, bottom line, I've seen
Farhad, it's so stupid.
Oh my God. So bottom line, am I the person I thought I would be when I was like 16? Of course not.
No way.
I'm so different I'm so different.
Oh my God.
So that's the same thing. I just feel like we place way too much pressure on future planning, and especially a community that does not have a blueprint to follow. Like really, there is no blueprint. Secondly, there has never been a blueprint for us. Like Indian queer community, we are creating the various blueprints. So we're in the process of like trial and error. So I just take joy in that. Live in the moment, live in the now.
Yeah.
And like plan thoda sa.
Do you think
like,
sometimes we do all our episodes and in the end we arrive on this particular point?
Just like be yourself. Like just chill, dude. Like just like, be, but genuinely, that's what I believe in.
We should have one placeholder every 5 episodes. We do all the shitty things, like a reality check. Because earlier we said about like, we live in realism and like, we are realists and all of that. So sometimes I feel, but it's, whether we spoke about self-love or body acceptance, body positivity, in the end, it has always boiled down to, hey, no, don't. You need to love yourself. You need to this. But we should have one episode which is the anti.
Sure,
Sunetro is like, nope, not happening. Not gonna happen, Farhad. My sunny disposition will never allow this. Okay, take my optimism and shove it up your ass.
Well...
Yep. Okay. But yeah, I do. Okay. I feel there is a happily ever after with someone, without someone, with a pet. I don't know what it is, but like.
It's your definition of it. It's just
what you'll make of it.
What you make
Absolutely.
of it. Yep.
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Monday
the scoop
morning
of this ice cream. Blackcurrant.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So that's this week's episode. And if you have a happily ever after, wow, good for you, buddy. That's pretty much it for this week.
Let us know what else you would like to. I mean, I keep getting, there are a lot of, all these topics are actually offshoots of a lot of conversations we have with you guys.
We get messages
and stuff. So
keep
messaging.
If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcasts.com. You can follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, just look up Farhad Karkaria.
And look for Glitterbug on Instagram for me, Sunetro.
That's pretty much it for this week. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Hi guys, this is Ayushi.
And I am Ritasha.
And welcome to Agla Station Adulthood.
It's a fun podcast we've got going on and we'd love for you to tune in and enjoy with us.
Join us as we stop at various stations and discuss different topics that seem to be bothering us and hopefully
dating,
you as well.
Relationships, beauty, just being an adult, lots of different things.
We don't have a great grip on it, but we've done okay so far.
Catch Agla Station Adulthood every Thursday on the IVM app, the IVM website, or wherever else you get your podcasts.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance. From stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.